the things that a customer should look for in their interlock provider. Are you going to be treated like a customer? Because that's really what they are as customers. You know, even though the court says you have to have the interlock on your car, there's a lot of providers out there, and you should search for the one that's going to give the best service. That's going to make the experience a whole heck of a lot better, and certainly make the program a lot easier to complete. You shouldn't be made to feel like a drunk or a problem with society. You know, you've already done that. You've already been to court. You've already been beat up by the system a little bit. This right here should not be a punishment. This should be a means to really learn how alcohol reacts in your system and how that's going to affect your lifestyle and the ability to drive a vehicle. That's one of the main reasons I really enjoy working with Interlock of St. Louis is people are treated like customers. They're not treated like they have no choice. The installation portion of that is just probably even more important because you still have to be able to get to work. You still have to be able to get the kids to soccer practice or make whatever appointment you needed to make. And the device being wired properly in the car is very, very important to making that happen. Over the years, we've seen some pretty scary installations. We've seen some pretty interesting problems with devices from other customers and other companies. And a lot of it's just the attention to detail with the installation. This isn't something you can just slap into a car and expect it to work correctly. And specific protocols need to be followed. And one thing that you would want to certainly ask your potential provider would be if they solder their connections. A lot of vehicles now are very, very voltage sensitive, and a bad connection can certainly make the vehicle itself function incorrectly, not to mention the interlock device, cause check engine lights to come on, batteries to drain, some pretty significant issues there. And then you go out to start the car, and now you're calling AAA or the dealer, and it becomes another expense. And this device is not supposed to create any extra expenses. So a few of the things that we do that are different than our competition. One, we do have a specific training program for the interlock device. Now, this isn't something that you'll find on the internet, or anybody can just look up in a magazine and see the proper way to install these. Even in the instructions, when I've read the instructions from most of the manufacturers, the instructions don't even show people to install them correctly. I know with a previous product that we researched before we went with the Draeger, the actual instructions recommended that we use what are called T-taps or Scotch locks. If you've ever seen anybody's trailer wiring, a lot of times when people put that harness on so that they can hook a trailer up to their taillights, they'll use these Scotch locks, and it just allows the average person to get up there and pinch them on. And the problem that you run into with those is that you're only making a connection in two little spots on the wire instead of around the whole wire, and when it gets corroded, you lose your connection. Well, if you lose your connection with the interlock, the car's not going to start. It might not even turn on and ask you to blow. Now, if you're sitting on the side of the road in mid-December, that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem most any time, but we've had some interlock manufacturers don't give you enough wire with regard to installing the interlock. And so now you've got, instead of 4 or 5 connections, you're having to extend wires, so now you've got 10 or 12 connections. And that's certainly going to affect the reliability aspects. The installation, the installer though, knowing how to troubleshoot an electrical system and how a car works with regard to the electrical system is of the utmost importance. Some training is certainly necessary. These vehicles, if you look at how many vehicles are actually on the road and how many different makes and models and years and types, from regular gas engines to diesels to the new hybrids, there are just so many aspects that really need to be addressed on each individual car to make sure that it's going to function correctly. And that's where we are set apart from everybody else. We have the database. We generally have the information needed to do the quality installation. We have technical service for all of our installers. We haven't found a vehicle yet we can't put an interlock device on successfully. The interlock device cannot turn your vehicle off, at least our unit does not. So there should be no worries about this thing malfunctioning and rendering, you powerless on the interstate. Our device is designed to where you always have plenty of time to pull over, make sure you're in a safe area, make sure the conditions are safe for you to address any potential issues. Technical support with regard to the customer. When a customer becomes an Interlock of St. Louis client, they have all of our technical services at their phone call away. We've addressed a lot of people have questions about their cars malfunctioning, and I can generally tell them over the phone, if it's more than likely a battery issue. We've had quite a few starter issues, ignition issues, fuel pump issues, all kinds of stuff that are completely unrelated to the interlock device, that because we've been dealing with that customer and because we've been intimate with their vehicle, that we can generally diagnose for them. It generally makes their lives a little easier because they can go to the mechanic and say, I was told that we need to look at this. And 9 times out of 10, they call us back and say, hey, thanks, that saved me some diagnosis money. Yes, previous devices that we've used required, most of the devices are going to require more than one action. As far as I know, none of them just say, okay, blow into the device. Normally you got to hum with it, or you have to suck back like our device. Some of them measure for different variations. And one of the things that we had issues with previous devices that we've used was the hum was very specific. It measured for a certain pitch. So, if your voice changes or if you become congested or get a cold, the hum would change and the device would, what they call a board. And heck, we had people that would call all the time having issues with the device actually reading their blow. With our device, you blow into it, you suck a valve shut, and it reads. 9 times out of 10, the customers get it right the first time, and we very, very rarely get calls on people having a hard time getting the device to accept their sample.